How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, my royal family, I know many are concerned about our brothers and sisters that are being mistreated in China. And I have heavily been reporting about Moab's behavior and the propaganda that they are pushing. Now, I'm going to break this down to y'all because I found out some stuff 2 days ago. So, what I found out is China, they're on their second wave. And what happened was they are basically off for vacations and all that kind of stuff, and they're trickling back into their country. And naturally, with people being abroad or wherever they may, maybe even in their own country, out and about, you're going to get a uptick in people testing positive for coronavirus. Okay, let's not lose sight, my royal family. I showed y'all a video last week where they basically said that they don't have the coronavirus no more. The shutdown was released. I showed y'all pictures of folks out and about in China. And I even showed a picture where they were closely packed in. It looked like hundreds of them on some type of drawbridge or something like that, man-made drawbridge. And I was like, damn, look at that. They gonna get it again. So now they want to attack the Africans that are over there. And I was just reading an article where they tested this one girl 3 times and she still don't have it. So they going out full-fledged and just going completely in. On this particular, I'm not going to read anything, but what I'm going to show y'all, you just see their level of racism and utter hate for the royal family. So let's start with this first video. And this first video, and the title don't match up with the video. This is some propaganda being spreaded, okay? Because the Asian community is talking about racism and xenophobia, and you put this video up, and it doesn't speak to what they are doing. See, these people are just like Esau. They do shit, but they don't want to talk about their history against us and the others. They utter slimy behavior. All you want is money. So y'all want to go a tit for tat. Moab, you're not going to win this one. You're not going to win it at all. Because what you did wrong was you put all your eggs in one basket and banked on us being the sole person that would support you and your lifestyle. So let's check this first video out because we got a few to watch. 1, 2, 3, 4 videos.
With the news of the coronavirus, you see an uptick in fear of people who look like this.
Every disease and everything from China. It's disgusting.
差不多掉了起码7到88成这样子的。那我们餐馆没有人得这个病，完了我们这里加拿大没有人得这个病啊。
This coronavirus has killed over 1,000 people now. It initially started from Wuhan, China, and it has spread across the world. With this virus, there's now a worrying trend, and that is the increasing discrimination against Chinese people, and sometimes simply against people who look Chinese.
Every disease and everything from China. It's disgusting. That's the Chinese. They can't even wipe their own. I'm reading this and I'm reading everything that they bring to our place.
He would gesture towards me and then say, "They're dirty." I consciously thought we, the Asian community, are under attack. There was nowhere I could go. I was born and raised in LA. I love this city. I love the diversity. And this really came as a surprise and as a shock to me. It's not about whether I'm Chinese or not. It's the fact that he made a choice to damn me and to damn Chinese people because of his fears.
If you're from China, I need to know. Anyone from China, I am told, has to be picked up and quarantined for 2 weeks. If you're going to keep giving me a hard time, you can find someplace else to go.
In the United States, for Asian Americans, we've been constructed as foreign and aliens and immigrants. In the last few months, attitudes towards Chinese and Chinese Americans have changed. With the news of the coronavirus, we've seen an uptick in fear of people who look like this.
在这个唐人街，那个纽约唐人街香大烫这个地方，正好19年，这个生意啪啪啪啪，差不多掉了起码7到8成这样子。这个订台客人是有的在几个月之前就订了，就是说要吃年夜饭，突然之间22号订台都取消了。他打电话来，他说你们大陆有这个病，我们不出来了。那我们餐馆没有人得这个病，完了我们这里加拿大没有人得这个病啊。
We know in China, so many of our loved ones are facing the challenge of coronavirus. But we stand together as a community. We celebrate our extraordinary Chinese community in this city. The largest Chinese community of any city outside of Asia. And we are proud of that.
哎呀，昨天也是一晚上没有睡。我们这里的工人做了久了，他们呢也良心很好，因为我不能跟他们讲 OK， 现在 OK 生意不好，你们全都回家休息。因为我想，因为他家里也要养家糊口，对不对啊？结果呢，其他餐馆他说不是你们都没有了，我们更没有。很多餐馆都是这样，就是很愁，就是怎么办？
My parents, my old friends, my neighbors, all of them, they're back home in Wuhan. And as if that's not enough for them to deal with already, they inevitably would come across these reports about discrimination, about the fact that people out there hate them. We're all afraid of this virus. So what are we going to do about it? Hating and fighting is definitely not going to be the solution.
I started reading stories around the world. There are signs where it says like no Chinese are welcome, and it just touched me in a way. It made me realize how big this is. We have to be willing to be allies to each other, to stand up for each other.
Real people are affected because we have these racial stereotypes. People of color have to deal with increased stress as it relates to race and racism in the United States and Orientalism across the globe. Whether you call it the microaggressions or you just call this just discriminatory racial teasing, that these do have lasting effects on mental health.
I really do think that we should try not to build walls between our hearts, especially in such difficult times. We have been so interconnected for hundreds of years and even longer because of our curiosity, because of our shared love for food, because of our shared love for travel. Let's not spoil that.
Okay. Let's leave that right there, my royal family. Let me take that down quickly.
As you've never...
Now, oops, I took it down. It's too late. Now, y'all seen the title. What did that title have to do with what's going on with our brothers and sisters over in China that don't belong over there at all? Their ass don't belong over there. But I still have to speak in behalf of them. And that's nothing but propaganda. You know, you want to be dismissive. You know, you get a little touch of isms and you're all in tears, and y'all have for centuries watch what has gone down and the tyranny that continues to be projected at the royal family. So you get a touch of something. And see, that shit that they did in China, somebody made a call and said, start fucking with them. And overall, I don't see us doing anything to anyone. We don't want this shit. We staying in the house. I only been out twice. I ain't playing around with this. But as we continue on my royal family, let's get into this. I think this is absolutely necessary to hear a more fuller story.
House. Lack of house. The Chinese government chases us away from the house, also from the hotel and the streets. We are all frustrated. We don't know where to go. We can see what is happening here. You see?
Yeah, we don't know where they are taking us to. We have been in quarantine for 14 days now. We don't know where they are taking us to. Everybody's here. Everybody's here at this hotel. I don't know. In fact, the Nigerian government should do something. What is happening?
The Chinese, in their fight to control the pandemic, is blaming and treating black people in China unfairly. The situation is getting worse every day. Discrimination of black people in China is nothing new. However, the situation has escalated since Corona went global. Black people on business trips, students, even residents who are settled with family in the country, as well as black Americans, black British, and Africans are all facing the same discrimination. They are not allowed in public facilities such as hotels, restaurants, public transport, and even McDonald's. Across Chinese city of Guangzhou, hundreds of black people are now homeless and surviving off handouts on the streets for no reason. Sadly, while all this is going on, Chinese people are being welcomed in most African countries with opened arms.
Why is Africa, and indeed in Nigeria, being targeted? We have European people here. We have people from America, we have people from other countries. We have people from Spain, we have people from Italy and Guangzhou.
Hello guys, it's Melly here from African Glints.
Guangzhou is home to one of China's largest African communities and has become a hub for African traders buying and selling goods across the African continent. Some recent viral videos surfaced showing Nigerians and other black people lamenting the inhumane treatment they have been receiving from the Chinese authorities, who they said have not provided them with any alternative food or shelter after evicting them from their residence.
They are just walking on the road. You see, they cannot give us house. They cannot give us hotel. They cannot provide a place we can stay. They are just following us. You see, they are just following us.
China's discrimination among black people did not start today, but things have escalated after the pandemic and several other incidents. According to reports, one of the incidents was after a Nigerian traveler who tested positive in a hospital was detained in China for allegedly attacking and biting a Chinese nurse after attempting to escape from isolation. The 47-year-old man reportedly beat up the nurse after she stopped him from leaving his quarantine ward at the hospital in Ganzhou on Wednesday, April the 1st. Ms. Wong is said to have suffered multiple injuries to her face, neck and waist after the encounter. Apart from the man testing positive, there were no reports on the details of what happened before things escalated. Another incident that sparked the mass lockdown of black people was how local authorities in the industrial center of the city said at least 8 people diagnosed with the illness had spent time in a city called Little Africa, and 5 out of them were Nigerians who expressed widespread anger of the virus. The Chinese authorities claimed that they disobeyed and broke the mandatory quarantine and reportedly visited 8 restaurants and other public places instead of staying at home. As a result of this, nearly 2,000 people that came into contact with them tested positive. That's not all. The police and public health bureau in Guangzhou also told reporters that the officials responded to rumors that 3,000 black people in the city were setting off a second pandemic, which caused panic. But this turned out to be all rumors. However, the Chinese government gave out orders to its citizens and demand that black people are not allowed in restaurants, businesses, public transport, and other public places for the sake of their own health. And anyone who sees them should notify the police right away. Landlords, hotels, business owners followed this order and reported any black person they saw trying to access public facilities to the police. The Chinese also began kicking out and discriminating black people all over the country and forced them out into the streets, cold and hungry, as they are not allowed to even buy their own food.
Chinese full Africa, Chinese leave Africa. Africa no do anything, but now Chinese come here, pursue us land. Chinese Africa, everywhere Chinese.
Nigerian chairman for Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri, however, blamed Nigerians for not obeying the Chinese rules.
Some videos going viral where people now decide that you must bully through social media. That is not acceptable, and I don't think any one of us should be allowed to be bullied through social media. Now, here's the situation. Some people were kept in a hotel in China, regular 14 days quarantine, free of charge. After the 14 days quarantine, you're supposed to go to your home. Now you have some of these people who decided not to go to anywhere but start walking on the streets and saying, China, what are you doing with us? So normally we should learn to be disciplined and obey law. They never went to the mission in Guangzhou. There's a mission in Guangzhou. We have a very functional Nigerian diaspora organization, very efficient, very proactive. They didn't report to them. Now you went on the street and recorded yourselves. Some people, rather than, ask questions, just started saying blackmailing. That is blackmail. Now those Nigerians, the federal government has said you can come back home. Go to the mission, register, put on your corona test, and then with the numbers compiled, you will be brought back home. Don't come the mission there, or the mission in Guangzhou. Let them go there, register their names, show their documents and all that, and register properly. And then the Nigerian mission in Guangzhou will liaise with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and bring them back. Names are already being compiled. They're on the street. Are they supposed to be on the streets walking around in China? No. You're not supposed to be moving about in groups. You're supposed to be in your homes. They are walking around. If they have homes, go there. If they don't have homes, go to the mission. Register, bring your documentation, and the mission will arrange for you to come back home. So please, I want to stress that all that social media bullying should not be tolerated, should not be accepted. Let's do things properly. Be disciplined. Let's follow process.
Give me all the Nigerian passport.
You need to be said here.
How many? I have 3 here.
Yes, 3.
One. How many? It's not acceptable to the federal government of Nigeria. In Nigeria, as I mentioned to you last time, we have a lot of Chinese there. I don't think you have ever received any information that the government of Nigeria go to their various houses and pick them and quarantine them.
But this issue is beyond Nigerian and disobedience, as we can see. Even black Americans and other African countries are facing the same problem. Black residents on social media are saying that the police ordered public facilities, including restaurants and bars, not to serve clients who appear to be of African or black origin. The local officials launched mandatory testing and self-quarantine for anyone with African contact, claiming it's a response to a rise in virus infection in the city of Guangzhou. However, Africans are saying even after the 14 days quarantine, they are being given another 14 days or more against their will, despite testing negative. There are no documents issued to prove that they have been tested, so that they wouldn't be tested again by another set of officials. Africans who have lived in the country for over a year are also being treated the same way, while black people with white partners face separation with their partner, who is treated well and offered a better alternative.
Here in Guangzhou, people are sleeping outside. Businessmen have been chased from hotels, sleeping outside. I'm lucky that I could speak Chinese. How about those of our parents that are coming here just to buy goods and go back home?
Black people are being forced and put into compulsory quarantine, whether they're positive, traveled outside the country or not. In some cases, landlords are giving families 1 hour to pack out of their apartments, regardless of their status, children or business, while some other people are sleeping under bridges after being forced out of their apartments and hotel rooms. A Ugandan lady who went to the Ugandan embassy in January was told that the government haven't made any provisions for them. She went back in February as the situation escalated. She was told the same over and over again up till today.
Right, so have you tried to engage, the Ugandan embassy in China to see if there's any intervention that can come through?
Yes, thank you so much. In the last week of January, I was talking to our chairman at the embassy, Ugandan embassy in Beijing, and he told us that the government has not put any provision for anyone. Then in February, I tried to go to the consulate because now our situation was bad because I'm not alone, we are very many. They told me the same thing, that the government doesn't put in provision for anyone. Then I contacted the ambassador himself. It's 1 week back since I contacted the ambassador. He told me the same thing. Then last Saturday, I contacted him again. The ambassador told me that every Ugandan everywhere needs the government's help, and the government cannot give help to anyone. And the only thing we can do is to contact our families.
10 African community leaders in Guangzhou are reportedly under house arrest under the term quarantine. The All African Association of Guangzhou called for the Chinese authorities to end the inhumane treatment, hatred and outright discrimination against Africans that is currently going on. On April 9th, a video of a Nigerian diplomat went viral after he confronted Chinese officials, asking them why they were also seizing and keeping passports of African citizens.
The population of 14 days, the first 14 days is acceptable by us. Another 14 days, you didn't communicate to us that you are going to do another 14 days after 14 days. They have tested negative and then you have given them the paper. Why are they giving them another 14 days? That is one. Two, all the police, the documents, these passports belong to the federal government of Nigeria. In line with the international practice, no any country have the right to seize the international passport of another country. Wait! They are not a criminal. They are not anything. Why are you harassing them? These are the things we want to know. Who arrested? You are harassing them. Who arrested? You are harassing them. If you are not arrested, I will tell you that you are harassing them. Who arrested? They are police. Your police. Who arrested? You are. Where is the person who arrested? Where? You are harassing them. I'm not saying that you are bad. Yes, you are harassing them. You are humiliating them. Who? Your police. Who? Because they are going to their house. We have the videos.
The Chinese ambassador, who appeared to be clueless and unable to comprehend the conversation, spoke less and said they are taking it seriously. On April 10th, this Nigerian diplomat who rescued some Nigerians was reportedly assaulted by the Chinese.
All of you want to kill me? Good.
Nigerian officials on the same April 10th met with Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, who claimed he isn't aware of the disturbing allegations of ill treatment of Nigerian citizens in China. He was shown the viral clip and he promised to look into it and get back to Femi by Tuesday of April the 14th.
You said you haven't seen any of the videos that are out there. I'm at liberty to show them to everybody else. But if you want, if that would convince you, because you said you haven't had an official complaint. The resistance we put up just to allow your medical personnel to come in a couple of days ago. You've spoken to your Nigerian counterpart. in China? Have you spoken to the Nigerian ambassador in China?
No.
Have you spoken
Not
to
on this issue.
I'm talking about this issue. Have you spoken to any official Chinese or the Chinese government in China?
Definitely. We have to, like I promised the foreign minister, we take the very...
No, but you have not.
No, we have done it. But
you spoke to the Chinese government?
We're still waiting for because we are here. We don't get the picture, the whole picture. So but we have to report the concern from Right Honorable Speaker and the Minister. We take it very seriously.
Yeah, whether you have to please by Monday, I'm aware that this is a weekend, but by Monday, so a couple of days, or Tuesday, please, or Tuesday because Monday is a public holiday. Well, today's a
According to The New Yorker, Chinese foreign minister spokesman told reporters that the Chinese most urgent task is to prevent overseas imports of the virus, but they also acknowledged that there might have been some misunderstanding in the implementation of measures. Abike Dabiri also said while expecting Nigerians to obey laws of other countries, especially in these trying times, she also asked the Chinese authorities not to make their laws discriminatory as consultations continue between both countries to find an amicable solution to the issue at hand. Ghana has allegedly condemned the incident and calls it inhumane treatment, but no confrontation has taken place yet by the government. Kenya has also spoken. A foreign minister's statement noted unfair response against foreigners, particularly of African origin, from some locals in Guangzhou, especially landlords. The report said the Chinese embassy in Nairobi had told Kenya foreign ministers that the authorities in Guangzhou have been asked to take immediate action to safeguard the legitimate rights of the African concerned. While this is classified as an attack on all black people in China, sadly, the most set of people getting the most hit are Africans, and they want their countries to support them. According to reports, the Nigerian embassy in Beijing is preparing to evacuate all its citizens from China in response to the terrible discrimination. The viral infection in Guangzhou has also sparked a virulent abuse online, with many Chinese internet users posting racist comments and calling Africans to be deported, among several other inhumane things. Does the Chinese see Africans as subhuman venoms who are fair game? Do you think this incident will open the eyes of African government who are always doing business with the Chinese?
One is 8 months pregnant, the other is 6 months pregnant, but they cannot access hospital.
But the people that came for the business, the people that came for the business are different from those people are staying in China. They live in China.
I mean, do they have the place?
They have houses.
Okay.
They should go back to their houses.
Yes.
And then we should stop the issue of going to their houses and pick them. If you want to do 14, additional 14,
yes, 14
I'm advising you, as a responsive government, quarantine everybody, no movement, let everybody sit at home for 14 days. Yes, it's acceptable.
You know,
but if you are going to say only the Africa, we are not going to accept that. And then we are not going to accept.
Not just Africa, even the Chinese.
No,
you know, even
now do it for all the Chinese, everybody.
I mean, no, I mean, those who are close contact.
They have never close contact. They have never close contact. Yes, they have never, because
how they came together?
Let me tell you.
How they came together? If they are not close contact.
Your people, your police. That you want to pick from everywhere and bring them inside the
Who called them?
Who
You called them together.
I didn't call them.
I know.
I didn't call anybody. Your police.
So how they can come, with so many together?
That is exactly what I'm saying. Your police picked them. Your police want to arrest me today.
Most of them were evicted from their houses.
May I know, are you from?
Yes, my officer.
Okay. So, okay.
Most of them were evicted from their houses.
Because actually it's going to mad no no. You know I'm on lodge one now hotel. So it can be too much. We're up on an act, but with the outside. So Mandela here for the ashes is no man. So let's not be
Share your thoughts with us on the comment section down below. We are diving deep into politics. If you enjoyed this video, please let us know.
All right, my royal family.
As well. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button.
That's the end of that. I know that y'all may have seen portions of it, but sometimes it's good to get a more of a bigger picture of what's going on. I personally was turned off by the, I think it was a commissioner or some African woman. You know, you don't even know what the hell going on over there. You're all in emotions and see these people. See, our folks do business with these people over here. So, yeah, you will get some pushback even from our own, because they don't want to mess up the relationship, and they don't give a damn. You know, it's just like here in this country. We got folks that are very compassionate and loving towards each other, and then the total opposite. You know, humans are the same globally. Now, as we continue on this next video, what I like about this next video that I'm going to present, we're going to actually hear a one-on-one account, you know, opposed to I had to get the drama out of the way, even though it's still drama, and see what's going on. Oh, and the other thing, when they had some diplomats or whoever that was from China to come and speak to the brother at the embassy and stuff, these people know their country. You know, I mean, this is our country. Say we running this and we let some foreign people come in and some shit pop off. Well, before I send my folks, I want to see the footage. I want to know what's going to go down and how we're going to execute this, you know. And now they trying to sell this propaganda because there's so much out there. Oh, this has really exploded. Y'all would be amazed how this has exploded. That now the only way that China can address it is like, oh, this didn't happen at all, even though there is footage and it happened. And so now they're going to try to make it look like, well, they didn't cooperate. These people micromanage their company, and I mean their country. This is coming from the so-called top. I think this is possibly coming from like in that jurisdiction or that little area, their mayor. You know, I don't think it came all the way from the top, from the Chinese president here, but trust and believe he knows, you know, because he got some other little shit to deal with. He don't have time for little petty stuff like this, but trust and believe he condones it. You know, we ain't gonna cut nobody no break at all. As we continue on, my royal family.
Good evening to you once again. South Africa has urged China to investigate reports that African nationals in the country have been subject to forced coronavirus testing, forced quarantine measures, and other forms of ill treatment. The International Relations Department has said in a statement that as the chair of the African Union, South Africa is deeply concerned about those reports and has welcomed the AU Commission chairperson's decision to summon the Chinese ambassador in Addis Ababa to provide an explanation regarding those reports. Let's take a look now. Meanwhile, China's foreign ministry has issued this statement, and in that statement, after the allegations of racism in China surfaced this week, the ministry has rejected all racist and discriminatory remarks and says everyone is being treated equally. So let's explore a bit more on the story now. Joining us on the line is a South African in Guangzhou, China, who's affected by this. She says she was tested for COVID-19 several times and the results came back negative. She says she is one of those who's been kicked out of her apartment. A very good evening to you, ma'am, and thank you very much for joining us live from Guangzhou in China.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. So I think let's start here, ma'am. You've asked us not to reveal any of your details. We know that there have been reports of discrimination against Africans in China. Can you tell us from your own experience what is happening there?
So on Monday, the 6th of April, a couple of people dressed in the COVID-19 suits came to my house, and they asked me some questions. It took about 30 minutes, asked me questions about my travel history, and anything that I've been doing in the past year since I've been here for 2 years, but in the past year that I've been in Guangzhou. And after the questions, then they took the test. So they put the swab on my throat, inside my mouth. And I was told that if the tests are negative, they will not call me the next day. But if the tests are positive, they will call me the next day. They did not call me, but however, I was told an hour after by my landlord that I need to move out of the apartment regardless of my results because the community and the police do not want foreigners in the neighborhood. I was told that I will move out after I serve my 14 days quarantine, but on Wednesday, I think it was the 8th, I was told that the next morning they will come and pick me up to put me at a hotel on my expense, and self-catering to do my 14-day quarantine, which was actually the day that most Africans were actually put under quarantine in Guangzhou, and now it's also in the neighboring cities as well.
From where you are, is this behavior just towards South Africans or towards Africans in general, from what you have seen?
From what I have seen, on Sunday and Monday, when we were talking, it was just South Africans as far as being tested that I know of. But eventually, a few friends of mine that I know that are not South African but African did come out as well saying they got tested too. And some of them are at the hotel as well, doing the quarantine at the hotel as well. But some of them, they're doing it at home, their homes.
So you've been told to get out of your apartment. You've been put into a hotel. You said that is at your own expense. Is that correct?
Yes.
So how are you coping?
That's correct.
How are you coping? Obviously, you did not budget for what has now taken place. And are there any other South Africans there or other colleagues from other parts of the African continent with you at that hotel?
Yeah, but we don't get to see each other because you cannot open your hotel room. The only time you open your hotel room is when they come in to do the test. They come twice a day for temperature check, and yesterday they did the COVID-19 test again on me.
And all this time you tested negative. I mean, what was the landlord's decision for throwing you out?
As she stated on the text that she sent me, it was that the police and the community do not want foreigners in the neighborhood that I'm living. My neighbors are Russian. They did not get tested, but they were also told to move out, but they did not get tested, and so did not my colleagues who are from the United States and from Europe. They did not get tested, and they're currently not under quarantine.
There are some reports and also visuals that we've seen here in South Africa. I'm not sure if you could confirm or deny any of what we've seen in terms of the picture that is being painted. We've seen some visuals on social media, some videos of, some Nigerian nationals and others as well, whose suitcases are basically in the street and they have nowhere to go. Do you know of any individuals who are stuck and have absolutely nowhere to go?
Yes, I do.
And what's the situation there?
Most of them are under the bridge in a place that we call Sangwenli, but they are getting help from other Africans, giving them food, giving them blankets, and some of the other Chinese with good hearts, they are helping them as well. But now that most Africans that I know of, are under lockdown, are under quarantine, I don't know what's happening to the ones that are under the bridge.
So, in the discussions that you've been having, have you managed to get hold of the authorities, South African authorities? Have you had any feedback? Has anyone contacted you? We know that the Department of International Relations here in South Africa is aware of these allegations that are being made.
We did get an email that we can send to the DECO if for all our issue situations, so we did that. Some people have gotten some calls to confirm their stories. However, I haven't received any call or any confirmation or any response as yet.
So any indication from there where you will go to if you're still going to have a job? I know those are some of the concerns that were raised by some of the South Africans who are finding themselves in a similar situation to you.
It is very difficult because when my quarantine ends, I honestly don't know what's going to be of me because I do not have an apartment now, and I've been trying to find an apartment in the past 7 days, but I've been kicked out. But it's difficult because most places say no African or they say no foreigners. So it is difficult. As far as now, I do not have a place that I will be going to when the lockdown is, when the quarantine is finished.
I saw some posters as well, these all circulating, but I have to ask you, as somebody who is in Guangzhou, some of the posters outside some of the shops that are selling bread and selling some supplies indicating that no foreigners are allowed to purchase some of the goods inside those shops. Is that true?
Yes, one of my colleagues actually went through that while I was under lockdown. He was told to leave the store as no foreigners are allowed.
What's the sense of what all of you are feeling there right now? Definitely a sense of uncertainty. You just said you don't know where you're going to go after the quarantine period is over. What is the general sense from not just South Africans there, but all those from the African continent?
Speaking from what I know from a few friends of mine, we're just worried when this ends, if it ends, will it really end? You know, because now there's an image about us being sick. So I believe that that's going to be a very difficult thing to overcome. And everywhere we go, no one wants to sit next to us or walk next to us. They go the opposite direction. So it's very difficult and quite honestly unfair.
Ma'am, we're going to have to leave it there. We really do appreciate your time here at SABC News. Thank you very much for speaking to us live from Guangzhou, China. We're, of course, speaking to the South.
All right, my royal family. That was an excellent interview. The Queen articulated herself quite well, and we're getting a bigger picture of what's really going on, because ain't no white folks been kicked out. See, I'm going to say this one more time, and I might say it at the closing of this. Somebody made a call from the States. I wouldn't be surprised even if it was from New York, wherever it was. And they say, well, let's give them some of this treatment. And we ain't bothering y'all overall. Our folks in the house, you know. So let's get into this bonus video. We're going to listen to this ambassador, this Queen's name. I'm not going to even come close to trying to pronounce her name. But listen to how she spoke opposed to the other African woman spoke.
Welcome to Candid Africa, truthful and unapologetic.
To my fellow African diaspora, a very good day to all of you. My name is Ambassador Arikana Chihombori Kwao. Over the past couple of days, I've received many messages, emails, phone calls, and video clippings of the abuse that is being meted to our fellow African diaspora living in China. I've watched in horror Africans roaming the streets of China with their possessions after being evicted out of their homes simply because they are Africans. I've watched in horror Africans roaming the streets with their suitcases and at times with nothing at all, roaming the streets after being thrown out of their hotel rooms simply because they're Africans. I have watched in horror women carrying babies roaming the streets of China with nowhere to go after being thrown out of their homes simply because they are Africans. I've heard many stories of Africans who are married to Chinese being separated from their husbands or wives simply because they were Africans. I've heard stories about Africans being forced to take COVID-19 tests simply because they're Africans. In many cases, these individuals did not meet criteria for testing, or they had been quarantined for the specified time period as mandated by the anti-pandemic laws of China. Not once have I heard any complaints of any African disobeying the anti-pandemic laws of China. Why is it then that Africans are being singled out and mistreated? This situation is not acceptable. It is wrong, and it will not be tolerated. To President Xi, I say, while you have enjoyed good relationships with all the African leaders, it is precisely because of that that you should do the right thing. You are sitting in the big boy's chair, and we are asking you to make the big boy decisions. We're counting on you to make sure that the Africans that are roaming the streets and have been evicted from their homes be allowed to go back home. We're also asking you to make sure the Africans who are roaming the streets because they have been thrown out of their hotel rooms be allowed to go back to their hotel rooms. As we speak, President Xi, may I remind you that we have over 10 million Chinese residing in Africa, where we have welcomed them with open arms. We have allowed the Chinese to establish themselves to marry Africans and live happily ever after in our Africa. Why can't Africans be awarded the same welcome that we have given to millions of your citizens? What is being done to Africans in China is deplorable, and the world cannot stand by and allow it to continue. While we understand that the majority of the Chinese are good people, they're good citizens in China as well as in Africa. However, sadly, among them, there are a few bad apples. A few bad apples that have chosen to give China a bad name. A few bad apples that are making China look bad in the eyes of the Africans. This is a situation that cannot be allowed to continue. President Xi, you are a good man. And we would like the relationship between China and the African governments to continue unabated. But the behavior that's coming from a few of your citizens will not be tolerated. And we're counting on you to do what is right, to do what is just, and to do what is fair. The Africans are no longer going to tolerate this abuse. From the Chinese or anybody else for that matter. The African youth are enraged. We're asking, when is enough going to be enough? President Xi, the power is in your hands. We value, as Africans, our relationship with China. Please do not allow a few bad apples within your citizens to ruin what is otherwise a wonderful relationship between China and the African countries. As a united citizens, as a united African citizens in the diaspora, we are asking you, President Xi, to do what is right, to do what is just, and to do what is fair. The children of Africa are saying, enough is enough. The abuse of Africans at home and abroad, be it in China or on the continent, has got to stop. You may not be aware of some of these abuses, but as a united African citizenry in the diaspora, we hope you will receive our message in the spirit with which it is being delivered to you. You are a good man, President Xi. We trust you will do the right thing. I thank you.
All right, my royal family, that is the end of that. That is the end of that. And what is so eye-opening to me, my royal family, that our folks over in Akibalan would allow 10 million of them to come over there. And when I did my research, they said over in China, it's about 300,000 Africans over there. And I'm going to say what I always say. Some people are new to the True Royal family or True Royal, that everything that just happened to our brothers and sisters over there, that is exactly what's supposed to happen. And this is the direct result of why one of the reasons why we are in the situation we too welcoming, you know. And this needed to happen to put the nail in the coffin with the relationship that even in this country that we have with Moab. We have to sever all tides, all right? And some things need to happen in real time opposed to, have a squeaky clean conversation about it. We have to, the thing that I always try to do is invoke feelings in the royal family. And I even purposely do it to myself. I listen to a lot of slave narratives and how horribly we were treated. And like I said, this needed to happen. I hate that it happened this way, but in order sometimes to fully get a point across, you have to feel something and have a true experience. A true experience. And sometimes when you have that experience, it solidifies in your psyche. These people hate us. And the way they get down, when you have a business in their country, they keep all of us in one location. They don't want us all through their country, but they come over here with their arrogance and set up housekeeping, basically, because that's how America allowed it. So the ball is in our court, my royal family, and we all know what to do. We don't shop there no more. We don't, none at all. I don't care what gesture that they make. And the thing that I have seen consistently, while they are complaining about xenophobia in this country, I have not seen not one iota of them giving back in the community to keep coins in their pocket. I've seen Esau, and we know how rotten they is, get in there and pull up their sleeves and get in there and help and volunteer, donate money, and do all of that. And that does not at all one iota change my views about Esau at all. But I'm just making a point. I'm seeing them trying to do something. These people just want business back as usual. And like I said, there's more of them than us. Appeal to your own. Tell your own to go patronize you. But no, you set it up. This is the last thing I want to say to solidify it in your psyche, my royal family. They set this up. I'm learning things about coronavirus. They put all their eggs in one basket on us. And they had them conversations in dark places and said them niggas gonna always, till infinity, patronize our businesses. And let's not lose sight, Moab, that Esau gonna get up in your ass because of the college scandal. So while y'all were contacting the FBI to investigate us because you felt like we got in college scot-free the way y'all get in there, then when they do their investigation, it turned out it's you and Moab paying damn near millions of dollars to get your low IQ kids in these overpriced ass colleges. Moab ain't gonna forget that. Oh, they got something for you. They got something for you. Then you can holler xenophobia. But to attack the overall black community, we ain't doing shit but laying in the cut. And we will not be patronizing your businesses overall. I guarantee you this. So, my royal family, render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe.